Sometimes some of us feel that we don't actually belong in this age. We feel sort of disconnected from what we have around us. We feel as if we're a fish out of water, or that we somehow just can't, I want to say land. We just can't put our feet on the ground here. We feel as if we belong in another age. Sometimes we can look at periods in history and we can feel a kind of a yearning for a particular period, almost as if we feel we've been there before. We feel we belong to that period somehow. We don't know how, we don't know why, but it seems to answer a big question, that we feel more at home there than we ever would here. Now, I'm speaking about this from the point of view that a lot of people don't feel they belong here in this age. And in many ways, I'm one of them. So therefore, if we feel that, then we could have some psychological experts, I suppose, telling us that we're dissociating. And perhaps we are. But I want to present something that accommodates this feeling that we come from another place in another time, but also that makes a little bit of sense out of it because of the way we live today, and because we don't really, we can't belong anyway. How can we belong when this place is so chaotic and muddled and, well, totally screwed up, I want to say. It's normal, I think, if we feel that we don't belong in this age, in this place. And it's not entirely about dissociation, because it's not about escaping because we can't face the reality. I look at the reality over and over again, and I'm sure some of you do, and you find it quite depressing. And some may say that if you find it depressing, then that is why you're making a quick escape to the 16th century or the Iron Age, or even earlier than that. So what I want to do is present a kind of sensible picture of the way it is when we feel like this, and to eliminate all the areas where we might feel we are just simply running to escape because we can't face something. Having worked a lot with people who have this idea that they've lived in the past, they tend to attach some pretty intricate mindsets to it. One of those mindsets is a sense of persecution. Some people can feel the need for compensating on all that they have at their disposal today. We have a lot of things at our disposal, and it does tend to make some of us feel, shall we say, a little guilty. We're very privileged in this age. We can have the food we want, we can have the kind of furnishings we want. I know you have to afford these things, but even so, there's a lot that's available for us to have if we want to have it. If it's there, we can have it. We're not limited by any means. So from my way of thinking, that leads us into a state where we can, if we're not careful, develop a persecution complex. Of course, there could be all sorts of other factors involved with this from the past. Family life, different experiences we've come through. But what I'm trying to demonstrate with this is that if we have that kind of mindset going along, that kind of psychological problem, you might say, then we are likely to attach something from the deeper past to that problem, and therefore it's the problem that comes before the idea of living somewhere in the past and belonging somewhere in the past. I suppose really it needs to be much more of a clean-cut thing. If we feel we've lived somewhere before, we might have had experiences, we might have had dreams, we might just feel a yearning to go back to a place where we feel we belong. I believe that if we are in this life, we're not here totally for the one time. We have to behave as if we're here for the one time so that we do the best we can. But I don't believe that this is all there is. It wouldn't make sense if this was all there is. I know many cultures talk about other lives, reincarnation, etc. And my own people could talk about this quite a bit. I think if you have any kind of depth about you and any strong feeling that isn't sentimental, that isn't just you escaping, then you're more likely to be able to explore this and work out A, why you feel the way you do, and B, is there any foundation in it? And C, if there is a foundation and you feel the way you do, how is it possible? And how can you tell? No one can say directly that, oh yes, we've got evidence that you lived in the Bronze Age and you did this and you did that. I know some people use hypnosis and all kinds of methods to try to glean information about another life. But one of the things that jumped out at me was the fact that I did a kind of I suppose you could call it a journey, an exercise with my father when he was alive. And he took me back and tried to take me back beyond this life. But when I went back, I was lying with my eyes closed, and I looked with my eyes closed at my hands, and I saw baby hands. I saw little tiny hands, and I don't know how old I was, but I felt very, very young. And he kept questioning me on this. And I talked about a house that we'd lived in at the time. And I talked about the fact that there was a huge crack across the path, and it kind of wove its way round, zigzagged its way round. And he seemed to be amazed at this, because afterwards he said, yes, there was a crack across the path, and it's most unlikely that you would have taken this in, because you could just about walk by the time we moved from there. So something in my unconscious was recalling this somehow. I didn't know it consciously. I didn't think about the crack across the path. So it gave me an idea that if I can register the fact that there's a crack across the path and I'm so young that I can't remember it, if that can be true, can other experiences be true that I might recall from earlier ages. So that's what prompted me to want to do this video talk about being born in the wrong age.